Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody, for coming to the budget hearing tonight. Before we start with the presentation, does anyone have any comments that they want to make now before we actually go through what we're going to go through?
I can wait.
Whatever. If you want to do it now, you're more than welcome. Sure.
If you don't know me, I'm Denise Weaver, and I am the president of the Music Boosters. I submitted a letter via email to all of you and to Dr. Colley as well, suggesting that I would like you to well, you haven't made a decision, but to possibly not cut music in our Macomber and elementary school. My letter stated that I gave 3 reasons. There's a zillion, but of course, there's the entertainment value of music. We all know that part. We have the children that we go see. We have parades. We have American Idol. We have, America's Got Talent, and we all see that part of it. And that's extremely important. At some points, that keeps some children in school, even when they get to the high school level. There's also the matter of music, using music to learn math and reading. I submitted to you a fact sheet with scores and lots of professional data about the benefits of music in learning to read and learning math, and that math is groups and sequences, and so is music. And thirdly, music is even being used medically, and as we get into upper ages, and if we have problems with Alzheimer's, or if we have children or grandchildren with autism, music is used for this, to treat this, to make lives a better quality of life. We also have, we had the senator who got shot in the head, and they're using music therapy. They're using Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star to get her to speak. So it creates new pathways and helps with that kind of development, even as an adult. So I would respectfully ask you to seriously consider not cutting that aspect. And if you'd cut it at the Macomber and the West, in 4 years, as each year goes on, you won't have anything at the middle and the high school either. So you will affect all the children in town. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Colley.
Most of you have seen this before. For those of you in the public, this is the basic budget that we're at this moment trying to work from. It is the budget that was requested by the town's budget subcommittee, which basically asks that we work out of a level balanced or level funded budget, basically what we had last year, same thing as this year. Before I start, I want to give a little bit of an explanation of what a budget hearing should be. The public hearing is an opportunity for the community to voice their opinion on a proposed budget, so that the school committee will have that input to consider when they go back. For example, next week we'll have another school committee meeting, the one that's usually prepared for the second Wednesday of every month. And at that point, they will take into consideration the things that people have given them as input to actually make some decisions on the budget. So some of the things I'm going to put up here tonight are simply proposals. There are no decisions that have been made. So this is your chance to say, we like this, we don't like that, we would like you to consider this or something else. And if people have other ideas, I'd be more than happy to incorporate them to bring them back to the school committee for perhaps making some decisions as early as next week. So if you're out there and TV land watching us. If you have any questions, the information that's going to be up here on the board, on the wall, is also on our website, and you can always send us questions and concerns to us here in the office, at the superintendent's office, and I will pass them along to the school committee. With that being said, last year's budget was $14,937,000 plus change. We also received from the state a little bit of money, about $22,000 in stabilization funds. This year, the governor, in his proposal to have the budget for next year include a level funding for Chapter 70 for most communities that had some stabilization funding. He included that as part of the Chapter 70. So when people look at the Chapter 70 line in the governor's budget, for us, it'll look like it has $22,000 more than it did last year. However, the town is not getting any less money than it did last year, so I've included and accounted for that in this budget. So basically, the basic budget would have $14,960,000 in change, and it includes everything we did this year in terms of salaries, in terms of programming, in terms of supplies, materials, all of those things. And within this budget, we're also including the step and lane increases for the teachers, which is a contractual obligation that we have. It includes the ASME contract. Those are teachers, custodians, secretaries, paras, and TAs. And it also includes the loss of $25,000 that we have so far been using from school choice. We had some students over the last few years coming from other districts going to school at our high school because we had room. And every time we had one of those students working or going to school here with us, the state would send us an additional amount of money from those other districts to account for the kids coming here. Those students have either moved, they have gone back to their districts, or they have graduated. So now that money, which was paid for a teacher or part of a teacher, now we have to account for it. We're also losing quite a bit of money from the stabilization funds that came from the federal government. And a lot of that we used this year to prepay or pay for our tuitions for special ed, and for some of those other things that we have been using for things like Title I, like the part-time paras and TAs, summer programs and after-school programs, and some supplies and professional development. Those things are ending now because the stabilization monies coming from the federal government are ending. They're not going to continue next year. And what we had to do is look within our budget to try to come to an even balance. We have some spent tuition savings this year, students that came back to us or students that went from one placement to a less restrictive environment and produced some savings. And we also had some early retirements and retirement salaries that we're accounting for as people retiring, that hopefully we can hire people at a lower rate, because obviously we're going to look for people who are not on the way out the door, which would be where they make the most money. So we think we can cover pretty much what we do now into next year's budget. However, there were some things that we as a school committee and as an organization of the schools have talked about that perhaps we would like to add.